Welcome back to Beyond the Cage, everyone. I am so excited to be back. I couldn't figure out what format I really wanted to do for YouTube, but in the meantime, I was helping Jamie grow his personal Instagram and his YouTube, and he almost has 30,000 followers, so it's pretty awesome. We've been doing the street interview series, comedic gold. Some of the questions are just so funny. If you want to watch them, you can just go to his channel, The Boom Boom Show. But on this channel, I'll be doing long-form videos on MMA, jiu-jitsu, boxing, kickboxing, Muay Thai. Obviously more MMA focused, but I do really want to focus especially on jiu-jitsu, because jiu-jitsu is growing really rapidly, and I've been following it over the past 6, 7, 8 months. And yeah, I know this sign is Jamie's, but I'll eventually replace it with mine, hopefully one day. But now let's get into the video. So recently Cheeto Vera appeared on Bradley Barton's Raw Talk podcast, where he discussed everything from MMA, his career, and all that stuff. Brad then asked Cheeto Vera about USADA and how many fighters are actually clean. This is what he said, and it's pretty interesting.
You don't think all those guys are taking that?
I think there's a lot of people taking it because it's so easy to beat USADA. You need 20 grand. Call a good doctor. Boom. A good doctor will give you good products. He will tell you how to clean yourself. USADA only comes 6 a.m. till 6 p.m. They have this window. I can go to the mountains in Ecuador and tell them I'm hunting and I'll be doing EPO, and by the time I come back, there's nothing on me.
So he revealed a few important elements about USADA and how they work. They only come between 6 a.m. and 6 p.m., meaning that fighters have a 12-hour window to do as they please. Number 2, if you're in a remote location like in the mountains, as he says, they can't really get to you, so they can't test you. This one is actually interesting because they could just tell USADA that they're just not available to be tested, or even lie about their whereabouts. In 2020, Yair Rodriguez failed to report his whereabouts to USADA and got hit with a 6-month suspension. And most importantly, number 3, good money buys good products and services. Cheeto says that if you're willing to pay a doctor something like $20,000, he'll give you the product and show you how to get rid of it from your system before USADA can even detect it. And that last one is super dangerous, because if we look at big title fights and high-profile matchups, it often comes down to a game of inches, where that slightly little bit of strength gets you that takedown, or the quicker reaction time was able to help you dodge that punch or make you hit harder or faster. USADA has been a really good deterrent for fighters taking banned substances, but it only affects you if you're actually in the USADA testing pool. And that's how someone like Conor McGregor abused the USADA testing system. At UFC 264, Conor would square up with Dustin Poirier in their trilogy fight. In the late stages of the first round, Conor threw a leg kick that Dustin would ultimately check. Later, Conor would throw a 1-2 and land on his left leg pretty awkwardly. That would send him to the ground and he would quiver in pain. It eventually came out that Conor had fractured his fibula and tibia. That kind of injury sidelines you for at least a year. But during that year when he was healing up, he was posting pictures on Instagram that were pretty weird. He looked absolutely massive. If you compare his before to UFC 264 and after UFC 264 photos, they look nothing alike. You could see his face and upper body have grown massively, and that change was shown to the world when he was on The Ultimate Fighter versus Michael Chandler. Now let's step back for a moment and examine everything. You're Conor McGregor and you just broke your leg in half. You may never be 100% on that leg ever again, but there's a path that could significantly aid in your recovery. A doctor comes to you and recommends that you take one of USADA's banned substances. My guess to what it was is human growth hormone, or HGH, but I'm not a doctor, or I'm not a guy who does bro science. More Plates More Dates has that covered. If you want to go watch everything about bro science, all that stuff, go watch him. And if you're Conor, you're not going to compete for a long while, so you might as well just take yourself out of the USADA testing pool, take the banned substances that are going to help you recover faster, and when you're ready to fight again, cycle off the banned substances and re-enter the USADA testing pool. And that's exactly what Conor did. And to be honest, I don't even blame him. Those leg injuries are so hard to come back from, especially in MMA when you're getting kicked with your legs, kicking with your legs, and putting a lot of weight on them through takedowns, clinch work, and all that. Even leg injuries in other sports like ruptured Achilles are also really difficult to come back from. Kobe Bryant, one of the hardest working athletes that ever lived, couldn't come back from a ruptured Achilles 100%. And once Conor healed up from his injury, he started to train again and put on a lot of mass. And a lot of MMA fans online were questioning his natty status. What's even more fascinating is Derek from More Place More Dates was saying that Conor was almost kind of incentivizing people to do this. He was kind of promoting the idea to other UFC fighters that you should do this when you do get major injuries. But what's crazier than that is many fighters didn't even know that that was allowed. I saw a clip on Instagram where Corey Sandhagen went on Rogan and he didn't even know that you could do that. I have the memory in my head of the post, I just can't really find it. But now Conor wants to compete again and he's having a major issue with it. If we look at it from an outside perspective, this is my guess as to what's going on. The UFC wanted to make Conor versus Chandler as the last pay-per-view of the year, and USADA said he has to be 6 months in the testing pool. pool, because that's how long you need to be in the testing pool before you can actually compete in a UFC fight. And Conor probably said no, they did it for Brock Lesnar for UFC 200 and they could do it for me as well. Because if you remember, Brock Lesnar failed his in and out competition drug test for UFC 200. Also, his fight was only officially announced 1 month before the event. You could thank Ariel Helwani for that, and that was not the first time the UFC and USADA negotiated a way for their fighters to skirt around the rules. Do we all recall when John Jones was accused of snitching on other fighters to get a reduced USADA sentence? But this time around with Conor, USADA doesn't seem to want to budge, as he missed the window to re-enter the USADA testing pool back in June. However, there is a silver lining to all of this. It came out a few days ago that Conor submitted his request to re-enter the USADA testing pool, and if we look 6 months down the line, it conveniently lines up with UFC 300 that's projected to be in April of 2024. The thing is, Conor McGregor has set a dangerous precedent for leaving the USADA testing pool, taking banned substances, and re-entering the testing pool after receiving all the benefits of taking the banned substances. Seeing what Conor did, I feel like a lot of fighters are going to want to do that now. The thing is with this whole Conor situation is that can he even make 155 now? Because what's the point of Conor and Chandler fighting at 170 anyway? They're not ranked, they don't have aspirations for the title there, their weight class that they're going to excel at the best is 155. Regardless, I hope Conor and Chandler both get booked for UFC 300 so we can finally watch that fight. I know that first round is going to be electric. Thank you guys all for watching. There are going to be more videos coming out this week and in the near future. Subscribe, like, do all of that. I'll see you in the next one. Peace.